All right. I know it is just 10 o'clock, so I'm going to wait just a little bit and see if some people tune in. So, we are going to be reading more of the great Gilly Hopkins today. Right after we read, you will have a Zoom conference link sent to your Canvas inbox. So remember, right after we read, Zoom conference link sent to Canvas inbox. So make sure you check that so we can talk about Gilly and talk about how your assignments went yesterday. I know there was a little confusion. So if you can hear the twinkle toeing in the background, that's my dog letting me know she's hungry. So we're just going to try to ignore her for a little bit because she already ate. So, all right, great Gilly Hopkins. So we ended where Gilly was going to bed, and Trotter said to her, or Gilly said, "You can come visit. I'll come visit." And Trotter tried to explain that she needed to go, and she needed to get accustomed to living with her grandmother first, and then maybe they could see each other. So, and Gilly was really upset and she was crying. So we remember how much we realized she really loves Trotter and WE. This chapter is called Jackson, Virginia. The ride in Mrs. Hopkins' 10-year-old Buick station wagon to Jackson, Virginia took just over an hour. To Gilly, it seemed like 100 years. Every other time she'd moved, she'd been able to think of the destination as a brief stop along the way. But this one was the end of the road. Always before she had known she could stand anything, because someday soon Courtney would come and take her home. She had sent someone else in her place. Perhaps Courtney would never come. Perhaps Courtney did not want to come. The heaviness dragged her down. What was she doing here in this old car with this strange woman who surely didn't want her, who had only taken her out of some stupid idea of beauty, when she could be home with Trotter and William Ernest and Mr. Randolph, who really wanted her? Who could she dare the world, even to herself, who loved her? And she loved them. Oh, hell, she spent all her life, at least half of it, since the Dixons went to Florida and left her behind, making sure she didn't care about anybody except Courtney. She had known that it never pays to attach yourself to something that is likely to blow away. But in Thompson Park, she had lost her head. She loved those stupid people. Would you like to turn on the radio? No, that's all right. I'm not familiar with the latest music, but I don't really mind as long as it's not too loud. Can't you just leave me alone? Is what Gilly was thinking. There were several miles of silence before the woman tried again. Miss Ellis seems like a nice person. Gilly shrugged. She's okay, I guess. She seems to think I got a rather wrong impression of that foster home she put you in. Something dark and hot began to bubble up inside of Gilly. They were all sick last week, she said. I see. How in the hell could you see? Miss Ellis tried to tell me that you had really liked it there, despite everything from your letter. That damn letter. I lie a lot, Gilly said. Oh, a quick side glance and then back to the windshield. The woman was so short she was almost peering through the top of the steering wheel. Gilly saw her small hands tighten on the wheel as she said, I'd hope you'd be glad to come with me. I'm sorry. Gilly was thinking, if you're sorry, then turn this old crate around and take me back. But of course, the woman didn't. The house was on the edge of the village. It was a little larger, a little older, and considerably cleaner than Trotter's. There were no horses for WE. Oh, well, she hadn't really expected any. I thought you might like to have Courtney's room. What do you think? Anything is all right. But when she got to the door of Courtney's room, she hung back. Everything was pink, with a four-poster canopied bed, complete with stuffed animals and dolls, and she couldn't make herself go in. It's all right, my dear. It's a big house. You can choose which room. The room she found most to her liking had a bunk bed with a brown corduroy spread and models of airplanes hanging on delicate wires from the ceiling. In a metal wire wastebasket was a basketball and a football and a baseball mitt, still cradling a stained and scuffed up ball. The grandmother explained quietly, without her having to ask, if it was the room of Chadwell, Courtney's older brother, a pilot who had one day crashed into the steaming jungles of Vietnam. Nonetheless, his room seemed less haunted than his sister's. So, Gilly's grandmother lost her son because he died in a plane crash, and she lost Courtney because Courtney ran away from home and doesn't want anything to do with her. So think about how this old lady's felt. Remember, she also lost her husband. Would you like me to help you unpack? Inside her head, she was screaming. I don't need any help. But for Trotter's sake, she said only, no, I can do it. They ate lunch in the dining room with a real monogrammed off silver rimmed china set on lace mats. The woman caught Gilly eyeing the layout. I hope you don't mind me celebrating a little. She seemed to be apologizing. I usually eat in the kitchen since I've been alone. The word alone rang in Gilly's head. She knew what it meant to be alone, but only since Thompson Park did she understand a little what it meant to have people and then lose them. She looked at the person who was smiling at her, who lost a husband, a son, and a daughter. That was alone. As lunch progressed, the woman began almost to chatter, as though she were overcoming her shyness or forcing herself to. I feel very silly saying to you, tell me about yourself, but I wish you would. I want to get to know you. You can talk it out. You've got to go live in their heads, bad and good. You'll know me soon enough, what I want you to know. That's what Gilly was thinking. Miss Ella says you're very bright. I guess so. Do you want to see about school right away, or would you rather settle in here first? I don't know. It doesn't matter. I'm afraid you'll get bored just sitting around with me all day. I want you to make friends your own age. I'm sure there are some nice girls your age somewhere around. I've never been friends with a nice girl in my life. What kind of things do you enjoy doing? This is what Gilly's thinking. Please shut up. I can't stand you trying so hard. But instead, she said, I don't know. Anything? If you like to read, I still have Chadwell and Courtney's books. There may even be a bicycle in the shed. Do you suppose it's any good after all these years? Would you like a bicycle? I'm sure we could find the money for a bicycle if you'd like one. Stop hovering over me, Gilly was thinking. They did the dishes. Gilly wiped silently while her grandmother nervously putt-putted on and on. It didn't seem necessary to answer her questions. She went right on, whether Gilly had bothered to reply or not. What had happened to the quiet little old lady in the car? It was though someone had turned on a long, unused faucet. The problem was how in the world to get it shut off again. Gilly had to try. She yawned elaborately and stretched. Are you tired, dear? Gilly nodded. I guess I haven't caught up on my sleep. I had to be up a lot last week with everyone sick and all. Oh, my dear. How thoughtless of me. Here I go, on and on. No, it's all right. I think I'll just go up and lie down, though, if you don't mind. What a good idea. I often lie down in the afternoon a little myself. In the quiet of Chadwell's room, Gilly laid back and gazed out the window at the blue expanse of sky. If she lifted up on her elbow, she could see the rolling fields beyond the margin of the tiny town, and beyond the hills, the mountains dark and strong. She felt herself loosening. Had Chadwell been homesick for this sight as he dropped bombs into the jungle? Why would anyone leave such peace for war? Maybe he had to go. Maybe they didn't give him any choice. But Courtney had a choice. Why did she leave? You don't just leave your mother because she talks too much. Why would she leave and not look back a single time until now? She must care about me at least a little. She wrote her mother to come and get me because she was worried about me. Doesn't that prove she cares? Gilly got up and took Courtney's picture out from underneath her t-shirts. How silly. She was actually in Courtney's house now. Courtney didn't have to hide in a drawer any longer. She propped the picture up against the lamp. Maybe her grandmother would let her buy a frame for it. She sat down on the bed and looked at Courtney on the bureau. Beautiful, smiling Courtney of the perfect teeth and lovely hair. But something was wrong. The face didn't fit in this room any more than it had fit in all the others. Oh, Courtney, why did you go away and leave her? Why did you go away and leave me? She jumped up and slid the picture face down under the t-shirts again. All right. We have just 2 chapters left, and they're really short. They're only like 5 pages each. So we are nearing the end. I'm liking seeing your comments. Okay. They look pretty good. I would agree with some of that. All right. I'm going to wrap this up. You need to check your Canvas inbox in about 3 minutes for a link to join me in a Zoom conference. See you soon. Bye.